Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to a new video, tutorial, whatever you want to call it. They're all the same thing, kind of, in this, video. Anyways, so basically today we're going to do, just going over all the text animation, or anything like that. So, I don't have example because I'm going to show you within After Effects. So, in the last video, I did like zooming effects or whatever. I might do that in this video, so I'll figure out once I'm done recording this. But, let's get started with this. So, I'm just going to open a new comp, do it here, and I'll do same settings as last time. How about that? Alright, so what I'm going to do is I can either get my text tool up here, right here, or I can go down here and create new text. But I'm just going to use my text tool and click on your your viewport here, and I'm going to type in what should I do? I should do this is a tutorial. I spelled that wrong. This is a tutorial. Let's see if I type that right. All right. Set this as this. Select the right audio device. There you go. And let's see. I'm gonna turn off caps lock. When you have caps lock on, you can't show the preview, so don't have that on. All right. So I'm going to select my text with this text tool selected. Select all. Control A, like that. While have the where you can select and whatnot, and I'm going to increase the text size. Doesn't matter what value. Actually, I want it perfect almost. So I'm gonna not do Gotham, but do something. Let's do Product Sans, the Google font, and let's see if I have certain settings on. I don't. Oops. All right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to rewrite this. So this is, actually, let's do this. Let's do Google. Okay. And this increases a bit more, about 70 or so, or 80. And I'm going to create a new solid creative background so we don't have a disgusting transparency grid. I'm just going to set this to about 98 off-white, and I don't know the exact rate that Google uses. It doesn't even matter because this is just example. So I'm going to select like a 64% gray, maybe a bit darker. I'll do 70%. That's not darker. I'll do like 60%. All right. And I'll use my line tools right here while the to align that. If you don't have these, because this is a different layout than the standard, then go up to window, and then it should be right here. Alright, so boom, that's aligned. Everything looking good, I guess. Maybe, probably not. Alright, so basically I just want to go over this function here where it says animate. You can also do these transforms, but they're going to transform the whole object. You don't want that. Like, no. So you have more freedom using these properties here. So you can enable per character 3D. You don't have to do that. That means you can transform. As you can see, there's a bounding box around each character, and you can transform those. Oops. You can transform those individually, but there's no way we want. So what we can do is turn that off. We don't need that. So we're just transforming pretty much this whole text. But we can add, let's say, you can animate the anchor point. So let's minimize the transform. And that just pretty much moves where the anchor point is. So let's turn off the 3D layer. So that transforms the anchor point of this text. So that's kind of what that does. It's kind of the same as position, but it's not. So let's add another property and look at position. So this is just a position. As you can see, this anchor point is staying in the same spot with the text, so it's moving with the text. That's anchor point, I'm sorry, but on position it's staying with the text, and on anchor point you can see it's moving. You can see those differences there. Position is literally the position of the object, so, or the text. And we can add another property going down the list is scale. So when you scale this down, you can see that each character is scaling individually, defined by this anchor point. So if I scale this down, they all scale down to 0 or almost 0 at that point. And you can change that. Let's switch this back to 100. You can change that by going into I believe more options, and you can do I think it's word. Yes, it's word. So you can see there's no there's only one anchor point, which is like right there. So if you scale this, it's all going into, you know, one object, not individual characters. You also do so if I type in like Google Play, right? So this is on word, it's gonna scale the individual word, which the word is defined by the space, so between each word, obviously. So, or you can do all, which does the whole object, and it's defined by this anchor point there. Line, which I'll show you that now, is awesome. And then we need to increase this here. And when I scale, it does it by the individual line. And as you can see, you can change the anchor point of these by going, you can either animate here, or I believe it is here. You can do either one, but I would just kind of do it in this one, in the range selector. So you can pretty much move this anchor point on each line, so I'm going to move it towards the center a bit. As you can see, now it's scaling towards the center of the, you know, that line. Now I'm going to take out this because that's ugly. I'll keep the Google Play though. Alright, so let's keep that -20. I believe that's a good value for the anchor point, so we want it kind of centered. So let's change this to all. And these don't matter too much for what we're doing. Okay, let's go back to the animator and add another property down the list. We can do skew. So pretty much skewing is just skewing like that. That's kind of what that does. I mean, it's yeah. You can change its axis too. So do some wonky stuff. I never even use that. So all right. Rotation is obviously rotation. Rotates along that axis that this anchor point here. Let's change that because I think it changed when I did something. Okay. So now it's rotating along that anchor point right here. This dot, not this one, but this one. You can see that there. And you know, that's rotation. And you can also add the amount of times. So if you add like 1, that would be a full turn, like 360, full rotation. Let's add another property down the list. We can do opacity. There's so many of these. It's just opacity, you know, you know how opaque it is. All transform properties, which I believe this adds all of these. I'm not going to do that. I've never actually messed with these because I don't really need to, but I believe you can change. I don't know why opacity would be there. Never mind. It would be for the fill color. So if you had like a stroke, we add a stroke. That looks awful. Don't make fun of me. All right. Let's increase the stroke. I don't know if I can change that. I don't know where that would be. I don't add strokes to text. Anyways, okay, so let's change this to 3 so you can see the fill a bit better. So let's say I add the property for fill color and do opacity. So that changes the opacity of the fill, which is, you know, the text itself. Which I'm going to delete that property. You can select all these properties individually or whatever and press delete and stuff like that to remove them. And RGB I guess you can change. So let's make a keyframe hitting there. Go forward, and let's change this to like green. So I guess you could do that kind of stuff. Right, but I don't want that. And stroke color, you can do the same thing, same properties. Stroke width is basically just animating the stroke width, because you can't do it within this menu here. I kind of wish you could, but you know, that's not how things work. And let's take off this stroke, by the way. It looks awful. All right. Properties, you can do tracking, which tracking is the amount of space between each character. So you can do some cool animations with that. So I've actually used this before. So let's say I'll do like -10 or -8. Let's set a keyframe for this at frame 15. Let's go ahead to 2 seconds and set this to 0. And then we can add a opacity. Let's go like 1 second to 1 second in the timeline. Set this to 0, and I need to time reverse this. So you can do that by going to keyframe assistance, time reverse. Actually, I did that wrong. Did I? Yeah. So I need to move these keyframes. I did that right, but I need to do it not there. So let's go to 1 second. Just offset these a bit like that. Maybe add some easy ease. I did F9, and then to easy ease you can right click keyframe assistance, easy ease, or F9. Just do F9, and you can go in your graph editor while the keyframes are selected, the ones you want to edit, so you can select all of them and edit them. But I just kind of want to do the tracking amount and just kind of adjust them how you would like. So you can see it does like a growing effect, kind of like that. It's very subtle. I also do a little bit more. Let's do like -12, kind of like that. Looks pretty neat. You can do that stuff. Let's delete those keyframes. Let's go to the end. Go to the start, actually. Right. Let's go through the other properties. We can do line anchor, so you can change the anchor of the line. Sorry about that. And let's add another property, line spacing, which is the line spacing. So if I were to add another line, you just change the spacing between the lines, which would be this property here. The leading, they call it leading, it's line spacing named down here, basically the same thing. And yep. Character offset, I don't think I've messed with this. Okay, I actually have. Okay, so basically this would be just random letters, basically, I assume. Yeah, you can do like a glitchy thing with that. Okay, I don't use these that often. You can change preserve case and digits, or you can do the full Unicode, which is basically all characters. Let's add another property. Let's go for character value. I believe you can set a character value and do that. All right. Now selectors are basically like, this is a range selector. So so let's say, for example, I set a keyframe or set the position for like this, or let's say to do scale, actually scale this up. Let's kind of get rid of this bottom text. So basically, my range selector is this selector right here, or this kind of fall off type thing. So this line here. So right now it's at 100% complete, or at the end at 100%. So based on the scale, I can animate that. So because the scale down here is set to 184, I can set this to 120, so it's not as big. But as you can see, let me keyframe this. Since it's at 0%, nothing has been transformed down here. Nothing, you can't do anything. So when I set a keyframe all the way up to 100% for the end, it's animating that, because this line, as you can see, at 53%, this line is basically at 53%. It doesn't look like it, but based on the characters and where it is, it's at 53% complete. So you can do that kind of stuff. And yeah, you can also do this with position. So without setting any keyframes, you can do stuff like this. So I can set like rotation like that. Do something like that. Maybe make this a little bit longer. Maybe just add a little bit of like that. And what I'm doing, the easy ease is only affecting this range selector. So I believe the animation of the text going, like the value of each character, would be a linear keyframes, and I think that's how that works. Actually, it might not be. I'm not for sure, but basically that's how that works. That's how the range selector works. I want to set this back to 100 and set these back to 100. And then set this to 0 and then 0. Alright, so you also do a wiggly. I don't think I've ever messed with this one. I don't know too much about it. So it's just wiggling. Okay, so you can animate that. You can change the amount down, so, and you don't have to set any keyframes for that. And I believe these scale, the scale you can mess with and do some crazy things with it, like that. That's some some crazy stuff. All right, and I believe this is just messing with the position, the anchor point. So if I set this to 0, there's no wiggly. So if I set this anchor point to -5 where it was, then as you can see, it's doing a little wiggly based on this value. So it's wiggling between that -5 range of the anchor point. So it's moving like that. And this is automatic, and you can animate these properties of the wiggly selector. And let's try the expression. And this is where you can put in your own expressions. Now, I am no way close to an expert with expressions. I think they're kind of difficult, but yeah, this is something that I have to get into, and this is not my expertise. But if you know expressions, you can pretty much apply your own expressions. And these are some, you know, properties and stuff you can add in your expression that you can type in here. But yep. But that's pretty much the animator for text. And I don't think there's much more except for path options. But that's no. But I don't think there's anything else. I mean, there's blur. We can add that. So let's go back to our animator. Let's go to property blur, and that is adds blur like that. And maybe we can do an animation. So let's delete blur. We don't actually, just keep it in there for the sake of the tutorial. Let's do a short animation starting at frame 10. We can do like a 175 scale position, and we're going to use a range selector. So actually we don't even need that keyframe. So make sure that's scaling right. Yep. Let's do tracking, maybe just a little bit like that. And let's do opacity. So we can go in our range selector now, start at frame 10, and I'm just going to go to about 2 seconds or so. And then we can do that. And I believe you can change this somewhere. I'm not for sure where you can change that. Basically, this is kind of what we have here. And we can actually do this with the start, actually. So let's do this and go to 100 and do that. So and then we can time reverse these. Looks like I did that wrong. If I set this offset 100. So our range selector is going that way. Oh yeah, I messed up. So we need this like that. Time reverse. I believe that's how we do it. I mean, that's kind of a cool animation. You can mess with this. We could do like a quick animation. Maybe we can set this down about 130. Maybe we can select these keyframes and maybe not do it so harsh. You also do, you can edit the keyframe velocity in this menu by doing the incoming velocity. Now, how I do this, or how I kind of understand it, is that the incoming velocity is from the left of the keyframe, outgoing is to the right of the keyframe. So I'm on this keyframe, I'm going to edit the influence to about 60. And for this one, I'm going to do the outgoing, which is to the right. I'm going to do an influence of about I'd say about 30. There you can see it looks like that. Maybe we can actually add a little bit of a so you can see that's how that works. Actually, we can actually maybe even reverse the influences. See how the result comes out. No, changed my mind. What if we do about an equal? Yeah, I like that. Let's actually redo this. And we can make these exact. So let's do 80. And then 80. Maybe we can do less than that. We can do about 65 or so. Oops, wrong one. 65. And that's kind of how that works. And all I did was set the values for the animator for the text, set its transform properties to however I wanted. Then I animated the start and just the start, but I had to change it into 100%. To get the range selector to go from left to right instead of right to left. And maybe we can add a little bit of motion blur by selecting this icon here and selecting on the layer that you want motion blur applied to. Maybe we can even shorten this a bit to just 1 second. Alright. Maybe we can leave it rest there for a little bit. And then, now I'm going to use these transform properties down here because I want to do this a certain way. So, you can change this anchor point by just moving it by selecting this tool, pan behind, or I think the shortcut is, yeah, it's Y. So I'm going to hold shift and move it up and just kind of eyeball it where the center is. And you can also change it in this, so let's do -24. And I'm going to add a scale keyframe on my transform tab, not the range selector or anything like that. And I'm just going to make it to 150. And then I'll go back and add a keyframe for opacity to go down to 0 at the end. So I can press F9 on all my keyframes, and I'm just going to select the scale keyframes, go to my graph editor right here in this button, and I'm just going to change the influence to about that. So maybe this is just, I don't know if I would actually use this animation, but kind of what we got. Maybe make this even go faster. Maybe a little bit faster. And maybe we can do a, while this is animating, we can actually duplicate this. Control D, and we can select all of its keyframes and just delete these so it's not animating at all. And we can start its existence at right there. So what I did was press Alt left square bracket to cut it off right there, to start it there, so it doesn't show before or anything like that. So let's add this. What is Google's slogan? Do they even have a slogan? Let me look that up real quick. Google slogan. I've never even seen that. Okay, do the right thing. Is that it? Okay. Don't be evil. That's interesting. Okay. Let's do this one. I don't even know if they use it. Do the right thing. And while this is going, we can actually time reverse these. And while this is animating, we'll actually time reverse that. Actually, let's just change the values. So let's go, what is this value? Because I don't want to redo the influences on the keyframes. And just do that. So you can go on your timeline, go right over the keyframe with your time marker, time indicator, and just kind of copy that. And pretty much just change the value, and it does it when the keyframe's over it like that. At least it should. I think I know why it's doing that. Let me go into my text properties. Let's change this back to 100. Yep, that's probably why. And we need to change this one to actually a lower value. So let's do 50. Let's do 75. It's a bit too much. And let's select this. And let's do it like this. So let's select about the middle of the keyframes of this object, the Google Play layer, and just kind of offset it like that. Then we can actually elongate this time. All right. So There you go. We got it. So this is the animation we got so far using the, we actually use the transform properties of the layer itself and the range selector for the first part. And the main purpose of the tutorial is to go over the range selector and other properties they can do using the text animation for that. So basically we have that, and sorry for my mom in the background, she's doing something very interesting. I'm joking. So that's kind of what we have there. And boom. Now I don't know if this is, let me bring up my rulers, Control R, and that is, it is. So yeah, I can do that. Okay. Let's bring that out. I don't need that. Maybe we can change this color because this isn't as important. Or maybe we can just change the scale down to something lower, like 80. And I mean, there you go. And maybe change this down to 60. Maybe a little bit higher. I think that looks good. There you go. So let's actually shift these over. So actually let's trim this to just where the keyframes are. And let's select these keyframes, move them over because I want them to not be so separated. And I can just move this like that. Right down. So I just move them over so they occur earlier. So that looks pretty neat. Maybe do the right thing can be a lighter color, like 70 or something. Or not. Google Play can be like a, this I believe is bold on the actual thing. Let me look that up. Google Play. That's not what I wanted. Google Play, yeah. It's also has the E slanted because it's a logo, but we're not going to do that. And we can change the tracking. So let's do about -10, -12. That doesn't make sense to me. Is it really like that? They're all the same weight. Okay. Well, I was wrong. Let's just make them all bold. And then the do the right thing can be not. Now let's bring up, let's bring up our title save actions so we can see where the center of these things are. And let's move this down. Now let me see what the slogan was again. Do the right thing, I believe. So we don't, I actually don't want the period. We can actually take that out and turn off our title action save. And Google Play can actually not go that big. We can go. Boom. All right, I'm probably wasting your guys' time, but we demonstrate how this kind of works. So I think that's looking pretty good. So there's another trick or there's a thing that you do in After Effects. So if you want to see your preview in full, you can select this window. So just select the top of your viewport. I actually don't even know what the thing is actually called. Comp 1, I think that's what it's called, composition. I call it viewport. But you can actually just select it and press the tilde key on your keyboard, which is right below the escape key, and it puts it in full screen. And this goes for any window, any little window that you can open. See, effects, all that stuff does it for anyone. This is very helpful for the timeline if you have a lot of stuff going on. But I'm going to bring this to full screen and fit this up to 100%, or fit, because fit to 100%. I have a 1080 monitor, so this is 720 comp. So we can look at this. Actually, let's fit up to 100. I think that's looking pretty good. We can add 1 second right there. We can trim this right there. We can bring this back up, play it, see how that looks. And maybe we can even make this smaller, so let's go to about 70 or even 65. I want something small. And then we can go down to about 40 on the scale. Maybe not even that small. But basically that's kind of the premise of what I'm trying to get at. That so that's basically what I was going for. And yeah. So let me preview this one more time, and I'll go over what we just did. Not fit, but whoops, fit up to 100%. So basically what we have done today is use the range selector and the text animation properties to animate the first part, which is kind of doing that text animation from left to right. And we also did the layer transform properties, not the text animation, to get the scaling and whatever we wanted to exactly right. So sorry for my parents in the background, but anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave your opinions in the thing below, the thing called a awful comment section, and yeah, thumbs up, dudes. So yeah, subscribe. I'm not gonna do the subscribe thing, but yeah, make sure to subscribe, because subscribing is subscribing. So please subscribe. Yeah, subscribe. Please subscribe. So yeah, thank you guys. And if you have any suggestions for videos, also put it in the comment section, and make sure to subscribe. All right, subscribe. And thank you guys so much, and have a great day. Bye-bye.